Come on in the room. Where you at? Y'all, it's Tuesday. Y'all already know what time it is. Time for Therapy Tuesday. Y'all, I'm hyped up. First off, let me tell you something. If y'all weren't in the room this weekend, I apologize for you. But for those that were in the room, those that were online, thank you, because God moved. He's still moving. I feel it all over my body and my feet and my big toe and my pinky toe right now. So I'm telling you, if you didn't get it, go watch it. Get in the presence, y'all. Like, it's something about the move of God that will change your life. But I love what took place this weekend and what we're talking about today. Healing is not passive. Let me say that again. Healing is not passive. The myth that time heals everything. Oh my! How many people tell you, oh, just let a little time go by? It's 3 years. You're like, I'm still hurting. What you talking about? You done lied to me. You done lied. Somebody said they lied to me. Well, guess what? Tonight we're gonna break the myth. We're gonna talk. Miss Janae, my sister, she's gonna break some things down. We're gonna have some real conversation because some of us we're still in a healing season. Matter of fact, do me a favor right now. If you know somebody that they was talking, I'm still trying to heal. I'm still trying to get through. Go ahead, like it, send it to them, share it, tell them, hey, you need to hop on this real quick. And while I got y'all in the virtual sanctuary, just let us know that you're with us, where you're from, where you talk. Wave your virtual hand at us. Let us know, hey, we are in here for Therapy Tuesday. Y'all, because I'm telling you, oh, man, the presence of the Lord. Y'all, I feel like floating. You just don't understand. I've been just glowing and gliding, okay? So if you know, you know, and if you don't know, you better get to know. But, y'all, I'm excited about tonight. So I ain't going to take your time right now because I know, hey, you got things to do. And we did good, y'all. No delays. We right here right now. So I'm going to bring up Miss Janae Ponder. Do me a favor before I get into this. Y'all interact with us. Talk to us. Matter of fact, I'm going to do something tonight we normally don't do. While we're doing this is an impromptu. If you feel like you want to get on this segment, man, put it in the chat. We're going to bring you on tonight. All I'm going to need is you to text me, and I'm going to send you the link. You're going to hop on as a special guest tonight. So, man, sometimes you just got to do some uncommon things. So if you know, hey, some things that you've either healed from or you got to heal into that you're in right now, and you're not ashamed, man, put it in the chat. I'm going to bring you up tonight. All right, so y'all clap for my sister as I bring her to the stage and I get out of the way, but I'm going to hop in because y'all know me. If I hear something, I got to get in because I'm nosy. I don't mind my business. And those that know me, they know I'm going to get all in your business. So healing is something we all need. So y'all, let's get ready to jump in this Therapy Tuesday segment.
Good night. Welcome back to Therapy Tuesdays. I hope you guys are refreshed and ready to receive. Let me start and preface this by just highlighting that while I am presenting this material, I too am always in a state of healing myself. So I don't have all of the answers. I'm not all knowing here. I'm all learning. And just take what I have to share and stride. Take what you need. If it doesn't apply, share it with someone else. So we're going to be talking about healing is not passive. The myth that time heals everything. Now, we know as time goes on, we start to feel better, or at least we think that we're feeling better. And I just want to point out something today. Feeling better does not always mean healing. And I'm going to get into that today. But before I do, I want to remind you all that we are the bridge between the church and the couch. You need Jesus and you need a therapist. I want to invite you guys to donate. Your donations help us to keep our digital platforms open and on so we can continue to grow and do this work. You can scan a QR code through Apple Pay or Givelify. No donation is too small. Share it with somebody else who might be able to donate. But every time you give, you allow us to reach a little bit further and reach more people. Also, get your merch. Get your Therapy Tuesday hoodie and shirt, hat, whatever you need. We have a 15% off code. LFRCI15 is up every week. If you can't get it now, maybe make it a goal to get you a hoodie to wear it when I wear it or when Pastor AR wears his. We'll get you some merch. And some recommendations for success. Stay present. This is about 60 minutes of time just for you. You are worth 60 minutes. Actually, you're worth more than 60 minutes. Stay present. Participate. Let's have a good discussion. Whatever you're feeling and thinking, be vulnerable and put it into the chat. Remember, this does not replace any recommendations for therapy. These are tools that you can add to your toolkit and live by. But if your doctor said go get therapy, please go find you a therapist. This is not therapy. And also take notes. Sometimes some good nuggets are dropped here and you might need to reflect and reframe, and you won't remember because you didn't take notes. So take some notes, use your phone or a notepad. And last but not least, if I trigger you, it's not my intent. Take good care of yourself. Go get some water, take a break, walk away. Maybe you need to take a break this month, but come back next month. My objective by the end of the session, I hope you guys will be able to understand the difference between healing and adaptation, just adjusting to survival, identifying avoidance patterns disguised as progress, or maladaptive patterns disguised as progress. Understand the psychological processes that block healing. There's some things in our minds, how we're hardwired that actually gets in the way of healing. So it ain't us. Sometimes just the way we're made makes it hard. And I want you to apply very practical steps toward active healing. So we want to move from that passive healing, hoping that things are going to change, to being in the driver's seat and making sure that outcomes are actually happening. So as I was putting this together, some thoughts came to me, and this is what was coming to me. It's not enough to just think about being healed. We must live out the process. Thinking isn't enough, but thinking is so powerful. I don't know if you guys realize, but when you start to think about healing or changing your behaviors or living a better quality life, you start to actually feel good. It's very interesting. If we set our mind on our hopes and on things that are positive, something actually shifts within our body. We start to feel good. And oftentimes we will confuse that process with healing. We have to live out something. So healing requires action. It's not just enough to think, but also that lets us understand just how powerful thinking can be. Healing will ask you to do something, or healing will ask something of you. It's not just enough to think about healing. So I have a question. Anybody can be vulnerable, Pastor. You can come on. What is your healing asking of you that you have been ignoring? Maybe your healing has been asking you to change your diet, end some relationships, start some relationships, quit your job, raise your children differently, sleep more, read your Bible more. Maybe your healing has been asking you to fast more. What is your healing asking of you, but you've been ignoring? To let go. Thank you for sharing, Shamira. Uh,
So, I say my healing is been telling me to rest more. My people, they be getting on me. You need to rest. You need to sit down. I think part of my healing is resting because I'm always moving. I'm always in motion. I'm always doing something. So I know my healing, it comes from resting that at times I ignore. And but I'm getting better. I would say I'm getting better at just sitting down.
mm-hmm.
I keep getting checked, so that means I need to sit down. Okay, everybody be telling you need to sit down. You need to do this. One of my brothers said I got the spirit to do too much. I was like, hey, watch out now, God, you're just getting on the pastor. But I would say that that's part of my healing, resting, because what I realize is sometimes when we are moving so much, you can get your body into a frantic, right, and then it can kind of disrupt your healing. And so I would say resting in, being honest with people that may hurt you or trigger you, because you holding it in or bottling it up, it doesn't help your healing. And so that is one thing that I have been very honest with people, whether it be in leadership, friends, family. You got to be honest with your healing, because at times we try to be respectful by not saying what we are damaged by or how I'm triggered by you, because knowing my trigger doesn't mean I'm not healed or in the healing process. And I think people misunderstand that because you can acknowledge and identify certain things, you're still not healed. No, I'm trying to stay healed. So because I'm trying to stay healed, I'm going to identify, hey, I don't like this. I don't like what you said. I don't like how you moving. And so, hey, again, that is my boundary for me. so that I stay in the right character and place. So that's part of my healing. Who wants to be
Beautiful.
bold to come on here and talk about their
Well,
healing?
we
Put
got
it.
some fire in the chat. We
I see
got
we got fire.
Kimberly sharing. Well, we're gonna go back up a little bit because some other people
I like it.
shared what their healing
Spirit
has been
talk that
asking them.
church, and I like they got
Okay,
me feel the spirit. Go ahead, y'all
Kimberly
talk
said,
about
confronting those who have hurt me. That's what her healing has been asking her, and she's been ignoring it. Yes, to resting and saying no. I think that's a very common one. Being Audra shared, being honest with those who have crossed boundaries. I tend to avoid confrontation. And then healing requires giving and receiving forgiveness. What's up, family? Hey, Radical Anointing. And Shamira was saying, mighty to you needing a rest with the spirit of do too much. I bet that's what she was responding to. Beautiful. Yeah. So anybody want to come on and share and dialogue and speak about what they've been ignoring related to their healing? And while you thinking about coming on, I'll answer the question myself. I'll be a good peer participant. My healing has been asking me to stop over functioning. I don't call it the spirit of doing too much, but just always showing up. I don't know how to let people down. And my healing has been saying, honey, let people down before you let yourself down. So saying no more, even if I have the talent and the gift, not offering it up freely. Not that I want to charge everybody, but it's not about the money. It's about the energy and the capacity that I need to be a little bit more aware of.
Okay. All right. Then we had one said the healing is dealing with praying and having more faith. And then Brother Will said, during my healing process, I've learned that I am honest with anyone who takes me there. If they don't like it, then hey, I must stay healed and focused. So that's good.
All right, well, I'm gonna move on. If anybody want to hop on, I'll just pause and we can always redirect. So, what is healing? We can come up with a gazillion definitions, but let's really examine it. When we say we're healed or healing, what are we actually doing? It's the integration of our experiences. And you probably like, Janae, what is that? Don't worry, I got you. We're going to talk about integration a little bit. It's emotional processing, not suppression. Unfortunately, a lot of us think we're healed because we're not feeling. In fact, not feeling anything or numbness is a huge sign that you are not healed or healing. You have adapted and come to survive by not dealing with your emotions. In fact, if you are feeling and you're sad and you're angry, that is actually a sign that you're likely moving in the direction of healing. I told a client yesterday, you don't have to apologize for being sad and angry. Based on what you've been through, you're supposed to feel that way. There's almost like this regret for how we feel, but I don't know if you guys have paused to consider that how you're feeling is very rational and valid for what you've been through. There is no call to not be sad or angry. In fact, God does not want you to not be sad or angry. You're supposed to have those feelings. You're not supposed to be suppressing them. So if you're someone who has come to learn that you're not supposed to feel that, let's reprogram that. If I am feeling my feelings, I am on the path to healing. Go ahead and start to accept that and change that, unlearn that pattern of wanting to not feel and suppress, because in your mind you're doing good when you're suppressing, but you're actually not. Behavioral changes over time, that is healing. I'm about to step on somebody's toe. I'm about to be in somebody's business. How many of you guys want to heal and you are so desperate to heal and be different, but you've changed absolutely nothing about how you show up in the world? I got to call you out, because if you want to change and you've changed nothing, you aren't healing, you've adapted. You're complacent. You might feel stuck there, but that's not healing. Healing is wholeness, completeness, and that's heavy right there. When you think about wholeness and completeness, that means that you don't feel like you have voids. You don't recognize voids. You've come to probably radically accept that you have everything you need. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. So let's see what that means. What does it mean to be complete? That's a good word. We all want to be complete. No one wants to feel like they're missing something. So having all necessary parts present. All necessary parts present. That means not what you want, It may not mean what makes you feel good. So buying a big, beautiful house, having a nice car, having a partner, because all those things are good, but they're not necessary. Keeping up with society, wearing your hair a certain way, wearing makeup, having an image, but your inside is broken down, but you look like $1,000,000 on the outside. Completeness is about mindset. It's about having enoughness. So, wow, I can't even heal properly if I always have a deficit mindset, like something is missing, like I'm not enough. So, not enoughness is a barrier to your healing because you can't rest in completeness and interrupt some of those patterns if you're always looking for the missing piece. So, healing is the opposite of that. It says, I have enough. And I'm going to pause because I see some stuff in the chat that we need to address. So, Audrey shared, so I'm planning a family get together, and one of my aunts called me yelling for no reason and misunderstanding my intentions. I'm sure she was inebriated, but still not cool. Been avoiding her since. I want to invite you to use interpersonal effectiveness. It is a skill that I call Dear Man. I've talked about Dear Man and a couple of other segments. And Dear Man is a way that you communicate and you get what you want. D stands for describe. And you want to describe not using the word you because you don't want them to be defensive. I notice you seem upset, or I notice that your tone is higher when you call me. So you're not saying the word you. E, express how you feel. That made me feel uncomfortable. A, ask and be very specific. I would like it if you wouldn't use that tone with me. Or I would like it if you would ask more questions before you get that way. But be very specific with your ask. Reinforce the relationship. I like communicating with you. I like getting together with family, but I don't want to feel small or be belittled. So that's DEAR, DEAR. Describe the situation, express how you feel. So you got to say a feeling word, ask specifically for what you want. Don't beat around the bush, and reinforce the relationship. So that is what you do. Now there's a how you have to do it, and that's the man part. That's why we call it Dear Man, because you got to work on the what and the how. So how do you do that? How do you show up while you communicate like that? You make sure you're present, mindful. So you be mindful. You make sure that you're not in an emotional state of mind. You don't have the urge to curse her out or anything. Appear confident. So you can practice this conversation in the mirror and then negotiate. Your aunt is probably going to say, I wasn't upset, or probably will deny it, but negotiate. Or I don't want to do that, what you asked me to do. But remember your power to always negotiate. That's a really quick skill that you can use, Audrey, for that. I hope that was helpful. And then I'm going to carry on with some more of the comments.
So we got Dr. D. She going to hop on. She was the bold one for tonight that said she would get on. So we're going to bring her to the stage. Dr. D, girl, come on up here. How you doing, Dr. D?
Hey. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Well, good afternoon or good evening.
Good evening. Welcome on, Dr. D.
Hey, Janae. How are you this Therapy Tuesday?
Well. Yes.
Praise the Lord.
Come on, join on in. Drop your fire. Ask your questions.
So my question would be for you, when you're talking about healing, how do you kind of differentiate when you have been healed physically as opposed to mentally and spiritually?
I think physical healing is a little bit different. I always use like a cut, and when you think about the body, we naturally will regenerate certain things. Like you hit your nail and your nail break off, the nail grows back, or you cut your knee, and eventually over time it kind of restores and gets back to a place of completeness. When you think about healing emotionally, emotions don't regenerate unless you do the work. You have to learn emotion regulation skills. You have to master that emotional intelligence. First, we got to process these emotions. We need to practice radical emotional acceptance. We need to understand why the emotion showed up, where it came from, what we need to do about it. And we need to process it so that way our brains will take it from the amygdala, put it in the prefrontal cortex, and store it healthily in the hippocampus. And that's the internal file cabinet. Because if it doesn't store it there, we'll keep reliving it. We'll keep thinking about it. We'll keep ruminating. We'll keep being stuck. We'll keep those maladaptive functions going. But when we can properly make sense of it, that's when we can grow around it and get to a place of completeness versus being stuck. Was that helpful?
Yes, yes, it was.
Beautiful.
You got another question?
Oh,
What
I
you
can
want to
go for
say?
days.
Say what?
I can go for days.
Oh, well, go ahead.
So when you're saying the myth that time heals all wounds, what would be a replacement, I guess, phrase for that when you're relating it to healing?
Okay.
What would be
The
something that
one
you
the
could
one
say
that
in
I
place of
opened
that?
up with, a
Okay.
replacement would be it's not enough to think about healing. We must live out the process.
Okay.
Live out the process. What does it mean to actually move from where I am to being more complete? How would I have to live? How will I have to show up? What will I have to change? What will I have to sacrifice? What will be different about me? And I always say, walk a middle path between who you are and where you're trying to go. And
Okay.
eventually you're moved toward that. I think a lot of times we treat our healing like a chore, and we're like, we're gonna be so perfect and we're gonna be healed. But I think another thing to consider is that healing isn't a destination. Like I say this all the time, there's no such thing as utopia. Like once I'm healed, I'm good. I won't need a therapist. I won't need a pastor. I'm gonna hit utopia and be good forever. But I don't think people realize that healing is an ongoing process. We are always healing, always. It never goes away. So really, we got to always be in a state of self-reflection and accountability and being in spaces that hold us to a higher standard. We got to deal with ourselves constantly. Like we can't just do therapy one time in our lives and be done. We're always working on being better versions of ourselves. So not treating healing like a one night stand would be something else to consider.
I like that analogy.
Girl, you was that was a
That was
stinger.
a good one. Yeah. I got
Yeah.
one last question.
Uh-huh.
So, as it when you're talking about healing as it relates to grief, so just like a transparent moment for me, my parents died when I was young, and I've always felt like that part of me hasn't healed because it's like, oh, why are you still crying over that? That's happened 20, 30 years ago. What are signs that you are progressing in your healing as it relates to grief? Did I pose
I
that
guess
right?
I want to, you did, but I guess I want
Okay.
to challenge your whole belief around grief. I want to shake it up from the foundation. Who
Okay.
told you that you needed to heal from grief?
Oh.
So you
if
lost
if
the
I'm being
most of,
honest, who told it's growing up in church. I remember a specific situation that occurred at a funeral, is at my daddy's funeral, and my grandma made a mention, stop crying. He gonna like stop it. What you doing and crying? Like he's gone. You need to stop. So in that, what her words said to me was like, okay, crying over somebody dying isn't something you should do. So that's who told me that. So our grandparents and people who are close to us, their words have power to us as children. So yeah, she told me that, and that has stuck with me for a long time. So that's probably
yeah,
why I've had issues with just crying about anything that, any kind of death or anything that's happened. I'm normally the one that won't cry. I'll just suck it up because I remember those words that she said in that limousine to me.
yeah. Family will often try to have us suppress our feelings because it's hard for them to watch us be emotional because then they got to get
Mhm.
emotional. They don't want to feel their feelings, so they try to teach you not to feel yours, so they don't have to deal with that. But the
Yeah.
reality is grief is a normal process to missing someone. Like what happens neurologically during grief is your brain builds a neural pathway towards a person. And the thing about neural pathways is they have a sense of permanency. Yes, you can build new ones, but imagine it like a path through the forest that will
Mhm.
never go away. You have a path through your mental forest toward your dad or whomever you lost. And what people are trying to tell you to do when they say don't cry is ignore that path.
Mhm.
Like you can't do that. Like this person is a part of your neurobiology now. You can't just
Mhm.
cut that off. Like they're gonna always be a part of you.
Yeah.
Now, what you can do is forge a new path of making new meaning of their absence, honoring them through a ritual, remembering what they taught you, maybe carrying something that's genetic. Maybe you have a kid or something that looks like them, but you can create a new pathway of using memories that you can travel down. But you're not going to get rid of that path. So that's why I always say you don't have to heal. And if you think about it, healing doesn't mean erasure. You're not
Yes.
erasing the experiences you had. You're building more experiences on top of what you've experienced, and you're learning from the experiences. So you don't have to necessarily heal from it, but you are healing from it because we're changing the definition. You're growing around it. You're forging a new path. So that's the way I see it. Like, you don't have to heal from anything. And remember, I said healing is ongoing, so it's not like a destination and it stops. So I guess there's a couple of layers here. We got to change the definition of healing, and then once you change the definition, you can heal around grief, but you don't have to heal in a way where there's erasure of your feelings. Does that make sense?
Makes very good sense. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. That was all my
Mhm.
questions.
Good. Now I got a question for you, Dr. D, since you asking the questions. Oh boy, got you. All right, so where would you say you are in the process of your healing?
You said where?
Yes, ma'am.
If I'm being transparent and honest, I think I am back at the starting point because I think that I have misconstrued what that looks like. I have overthought what that looks like. I have overanalyzed what that looks like. So I think I'm back at stage one. And I want to say my stage one has pushed back because I do have a daughter and I want her to know the correct way to show emotions and to go through the healing process. So I'm back at stage one. So me and her starting together, and I'm
That's,
okay with that.
that's good. I think
Beautiful.
that is very brave. A lot of people now
Yes.
that are adults are not comfortable saying, "Hey, I'm at the beginning again." And so I applaud you because even you saying, "You know what, I got to do things differently," and saying, "I want to take control of the narrative now." And so I
Yep.
want you to overlook even what you're doing because that is powerful. And even what you're teaching your daughter is, "Hey, it's okay to begin again, even if it may feel differently." So proud of you. You're doing good.
Thank you. And that was not easy to say. And I want to say that because unfortunately, I feel like when you have certain titles attached, and Janae would know this, when you have certain letters attached to your names, there's like an expectation people have for you. And I really hate that expectation, but I'm learning to not be so controlled by others' opinion. It's like this is for me. I'm getting this for me and for my legacy, which is Marissa. So yes. Thank you.
That's great. But you just said something so powerful because people will not get healed because of what's attached to their name. So
Yeah.
that's so everybody needs that, whether it's a pastor, doc, whatever they have, lawyer, esquire, everybody needs healing. But a lot of times people don't step forward because of who people see. But what about what they don't see? What about when you're not in the operation of what's in front of your name, you're just being you, and now you're not healed, but you're always trying to function. And so that is amazing that you say, I don't care. I'm going to be bold because at the end of the day, we have little people coming behind us and watching us. And when they see us unhealed, guess what we do? We say, hey, take this unhealed self and you be unhealed too. And so I applaud you for stepping up and being the whole one. So
Thank
congratulations.
you,
Oh,
Erin.
super proud.
Thank you. And thank
Thank
you
you
for
for
these
jumping
therapy Tuesdays. They're amazing.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. I
Yep.
mean, I I'm the first one to say, hey, I don't got it. Look, I'm over functioning. I'm not perfect. Um, it's just like, I always say this, your doctor gets sick, so should the doctor not go to the doctor? If your doctor were to get cancer, should they not see an oncologist? Like, we all need support. No one's perfect. No one is remiss from suffering. Suffering is inevitable for everybody. I don't care how close you are to God, where you live, your title, what color your skin is, you will suffer, and you
Yeah.
must learn to suffer well. So I think the more we keep having conversations like this and destigmatizing the care that leaders or practitioners or people who we hold to a higher regard, that they need care too. We need care too. Everybody from the leadership to the janitor, we all can use a therapist. We all can use someone to help us.
Yeah, and that's really good, Janae, because I also teach that and say that the church is called the hospital, and so at any point in time, you have doctors, nurses, CNAs, you got all these different positions in the hospital, but at any point in time, any of those people in position can be a patient. No difference from the church or business. The pastor may need to be a patient. They may need to sit down. They may need to get poured into because anytime, as you said, life can hit, suffering can happen, and how do you start to heal? Because a lot of people continue to just go forward unhealed, and then what you practice or what you have spent time to study and understand, now you don't do it well because of what you haven't dealt with. And so I think that is powerful for where we are going. But I thought that was great. Love.
Yes. Uh-huh. Suffer well. That's what I always say. If I gotta suffer anyway, I'm gonna do it with a two-step and a smile. That's what I say. I'm gonna do it well. So let's look at. So we talked about completeness. I mean, completeness just says that everything I need is here. It can show up as meeting needs like emotional, physical, relational, achieving a goal or closure, feeling fulfilled rather than empty. So it's about a mindset, it's about a lifestyle, it's about a lot of things. But at the end of all of it, you feel like you're enough and you have enough, and there's no void there. And that is a part of being healed or healing. What is integration and healing? Now, I've heard a lot of professionals use the word integration as the word healing. I think integration has less negative connotations to it, and it's kind of a new age word that we're using to describe healing. But integration is when an experience is fully processed, understood, and stored in the brain without overwhelming. You can literally think about something major that has happened to you completely and not get stuck in that cycle of fight, flight, freeze, where you got to think about it over and over again. It makes no sense to you. Your nervous system is on fire. Sometimes you can meet adversity with understanding. When you get to a place with facing the adversity in your life with understanding, that is integration. I always use the example of the woman who has the breast cancer diagnosis. When she first gets that, she goes through the phases of grief, the anger, the denial, and then through time and through work and through understanding, through radical acceptance, radically accepting the will of God or the fate for her life, she may get to integration. Then she may become an advocate. She may start to talk about breast cancer. That is integration. It means you can remember it without reliving it. You can talk about it without shutting down. That's that avoidance piece. It becomes a part of your story, not your trigger. So you're no longer triggered. Now you're an advocate, you're a storyteller. This makes sense to your life. It holds power, it's important. And a simple way to think about it is integration equals this happened to me, not this is still happening to me. So it really takes you from the victim to the victor. Integration means you're a victor, you've overcome, and it gets you out of that victim mindset. Well, I call it PMS, poor me syndrome. This keeps happening to me. Bad things keep happening to me. Nothing good happens to me. Why me, Lord? It really shifts the perspective from why not me? This developed me. This created something in me that would have never happened had I not had this experience. Let me tell my story. That is evidence of being integrated, or AKA healed. The stories of your experiences are no longer nightmares. They're triumphant tales that you can share. They're now testimonies that you can instill hope in other people. And sometimes you can reinstill hope in you if you have another encore presentation of a suffering episode. So here's another simple phrase for you. The memory moves from emotional chaos to organized understanding. That's integration. That is healing. Chaos to understanding. So I kind of gave this away a little bit earlier about neuropsychology, but I'll give a brief crash course here. When we avoid pain or we avoid painful situations that we need to address and face for our healing, what happens is the amygdala in our brains, which is our internal alarm clock in our brains, it stays activated. That means the part of you that says a threat is near is always on fire. So could you imagine maybe thinking about a childhood experience, or maybe a person in your family that triggers you, or a person on your job that triggers you? And even when you're not at work, even when you're not around that person, or even when you're not around that triggering situation, your internal alarm system will fire just at the thought or mention of their name. Crazy bananas, right? And when your amygdala is on fire, the part of you that's balanced and that makes decision becomes deactivated, and it has limiting processes. So when you're always on fire thinking about the things that have happened in your life, it makes it hard for you to make sound decisions. So let me validate somebody. You're not able to function and focus and make decisions because something's wrong with you. You can't make decisions function and focus because your amygdala is on fire all the time because you haven't processed what you need to process to bring your brain to a state of balance. Memory is stored as an unprocessed emotional experience. And when we have unprocessed emotional experiences, imagine it like, you remember those little games we had where it was the ball and you would pop the ball and it would kind of bounce around and just kind of be in there? And I never, the toys were absolutely boring. By the way, I never figure out how to get the ball through the maze property unless you just tilt the thing. But that's what happens to our memories when we don't process them. They kind of just knock around our brains all over the place. They have no place to go. But when we begin to deal with our stuff, talk about it, journal about it, bring it out, call it out, it has a place in our brain where it can sit and not cause so much dysfunction. When pain is processed, the brain integrates the experience. So we can start to talk about it like an advocate. We can tell a testimony. We have a testimony. Emotional intensity decreases over time. So, yes, neurologically, when you're doing the work to process emotions, over time, emotionality does get less intense. But notice I said, do the work emotionally. Avoiding and suppressing and denying your feelings is not doing the work. New meaning and responses are formed. So I have I guess a little quote here. And I said this earlier, but I really want you to think about this. You can feel better without being healed. You can feel better without being integrated. Do you guys know the ultimate goal of life is not feeling good, is not feeling better? I believe our society is in so much trouble right now because we are so consumed with personal happiness. If we focus more on personal healing and integration, the way we focus on personal happiness, we would need to talk about personal happiness. See, the problem with happiness is it's usually circumstantial. That means I have to have all the right ingredients or I can't be happy. That's kind of going back to the opposite meaning of healing. If healing means completeness, then happiness is in direct contrast of that, because happiness says I need a set of circumstances in place to look a certain way before I can be happy. Where completeness says I have everything I need. Two different perspectives. And if you are a person who you've been self-medicating with experiences to just put a band-aid on your hurt, then I'm talking to you. We got to do more. We got to stop crab bagging our pain away. We got to stop pedicuring our pain away. We got to stop venting on the phone and doing nothing about it, our pain away. We have to stop ignoring our pain away. We have to stop glazing over the core issues, and it's really time to do the deeper work. We're doing passive healing, and I'm going right into that. So what is passive healing? Janelle, I've never heard of that. You making up stuff now. So passive healing looks like waiting for feelings to fade. Feelings are fickle and they're temperamental. They will always fade. But when you don't do the work, I have a slide later I will explain, you're going to always need something to keep you feeling better. So there's a question. So happiness is superficial, would you say? Absolutely. Well, and I mean, you can have genuine, you can have the authentic feeling of happiness. You can. But if your happiness has conditions that always change, then that means your happiness won't be sustainable. It won't be forever. And most of us do have conditions to our happiness. I can only be happy if my children are behaving, if I have money in my account, if I look like how I want to look, if I work the job I want to work. I can only be happy if I go to the church I want to attend. Hey, I'm going to go a little deeper. I can only be happy if I sit in a seat in church that I want. I can only be happy if everybody likes me. I can only be happy. Those are so many conditions that are coming from a place of brokenness. My question is, what has happened to you where you need all of these conditions to be regulated and balanced? If you did the work up under all of that, what kind of life would you live if you didn't have to have all those conditions to get to your happiness and you got to a state of completeness where it didn't matter about all those things, where you took better care of yourself and it didn't matter about your relationships or those conditions, you could get to a state of being healed. So, and I think it depends, and I don't want to curse happiness. Like, we don't want to say it's bad to be happy or shoot, like, well, I'm going to just not be happy then, because Janae said it's conditional. But if your happiness requires a crab bag every month, then you got to figure something out, because you can't eat that greasy stuff every month. You know, if your happiness requires fried chicken, then we got to figure that out, because it's not healthy. You want to get to a place where it's deeper than that. You want a deeper cleansing, so that way it doesn't matter what you're eating, you're happy. You know, they always say this when we're dealing with people who have like eating disorders, especially ones where they overeat. It's not what you're eating, but what's eating you. Like, what is happening on the inside of you where you need this to feel better. So passive healing is also avoiding difficult thoughts or conversations. All my people who don't like confrontation, I heard that about 2 or 3 times in the chat today. Yeah, that's passive, because that means I don't really have to deal with the feelings of what it means to be a self-advocate or to assert myself. I always say this: when you don't want to self-advocate and assert yourself, probably for good reason. Maybe someone really belittled you or hurt you when you did it in the past, or maybe you've just been programmed to remain silent for protection, because sometimes silence equals security. However, when you don't speak up for yourself, you give permission for 100% of what you want to not happen. That's what motivates me to open my mouth. When I keep my mouth closed, I give permission for 100% of what I want and need to not happen. Passive healing looks like distracting instead of processing. So you're not really dealing with your feelings. You're just so distracted that you're not dealing with it. Some of us keep so busy so we don't have to feel. I know I stepped on somebody's toes. Maybe that's you. That's what we do sometimes. We don't want to do the work, so we just keep busy. Using a Band-Aid when you really need stitches. That's what it's likened to. You really need maybe open heart surgery, and you just putting a little Band-Aid over it. You got to do deeper work. We're not going deeper enough. Hoping insight alone will change behavior. Let me tell you something. I don't care how much intellect you have, how many books you read, how many quotes or scriptures you can quote, how many degrees you have on your wall. If you don't do the work you need to do to be whole and complete, you will be I call it a lipstick on a pig. That's the analogy I like to use. You will be a broken vessel. It's not just enough to have insight. A lot of people are in the graveyard with insight that have perished due to, some of them, suicide completion, some of them health-related conditions connected to stress and not doing the work they need to do. There are a lot of bright people who are very unhealed and incomplete. So don't also confuse wittiness or intellect with completion or wholeness. A lot of people are really broken. Avoidance reduces the stress short term, but reinforces the problem long term. Yes, you will keep needing that crab bag. Now, this is the part, well, the next slide is what I will get into. Now, I don't want to diagnose everybody with OCD, but I do want to enlighten you. So in OCD, that's obsessive compulsive disorder, a lot of people have compulsions. And compulsions are things that people with OCD have. Anxiety. OCD is an anxiety disorder. So there's a fear there. When you're dealing with anxiety, automatically think of afraid or fear. So there's a fear there. And to relieve themselves of that fear, they practice some type of compulsion or ritual that minimizes the feelings caused by that fear. So a lot of times, what we don't realize is that we're actually in a compulsive cycle with how we show up in the world, whether that's avoidance, over talking, overeating, disassociation, numbing out, but not really feeling our feelings. So you have an intrusion or a thought, maybe even an experience connected to that thought. You feel distress, and your go-to is to avoid. For some people, it's to fight. Whatever it is, it ain't healthy. It ain't helping you heal. It's not helping you be complete or integrated. So you avoid, and you get temporary relief. And that avoidance is now self-medication. You feel better from that initial fear. And so now you get that little burst of dopamine, that conditional happiness I was talking about, Shamira. So now you got to keep doing that same thing that doesn't work over and over again to get that short-term relief. You're in a bit of a compulsive cycle. You got to keep doing that same thing that's not working to get that very short-term relief, and you're still living in the same rut, because really nothing changes except your feelings very temporarily. Very temporarily. So the brain learns avoidance works. The brain learns that maladaptive behavior that you do to feel better works. The issue remains unresolved. The cycle strengthens over time. And before you know it, it's your way of life. You have now created a way of living where you use these short-term conditional mechanisms to get relief, when if you did deeper work, you never have to do those things again. So,
Hold on, hold on. Okay, look, I'm gonna come off here. I felt my people looking at me, right? So I got a little OCD, right, about stuff being clean or being out of place. Like they was like, yo, you got it bad. Like it could be a placemat, and they purposely do it to see if I'm gonna fix it. Like I walk by and I just fix it, and I keep moving. Like, but it's like when I see stuff out, I'm gonna I'm gonna fix it. Like we was in church this weekend. There's a little glass sitting on top of the table, and they shift it over, and I go over there and I shift it back. Like it's like I see it, I fix it. You know, so like what would you say, look, about that? Like, is that what is that?
well, it's the same process. So I'm put you on the spot, Pastor, since you put yourself on there first.
I did look. I like real healing. You know what I'm saying?
And we'll do it general, because you're not the only one living with patterns like this. For instance, so you have to straighten up and clean. So there's a fear there. We're not going to process your fear. Maybe it stemmed from childhood. Maybe there's a fear of being seen as disorganized or unclean, but there's a belief there, a cognitive distortion to be exact. Don't want to get deep, but you probably know it. You probably know exactly what you've internalized over the years that makes you need to clean. But every time you clean shift, you feel better. You feel better. It feels good. That little thing, that little fear thing that was a level 10 is now level 5. So you keep doing it because it reduces the distress from that feeling that came from something long before you got to that glass. Now, deeper work says, what is that thing inside of you that feels better when you straighten up? Who put it there? What put it there? Where it came from? And can we do the work to remove it? Because if we remove that thing, you'd have so much more energy for other things, and you would not be worried about where glasses are positioned or how things are cleaned. But you need that to feel better for right now. And so you do that. So that's essentially the process. I can use another process. I have a client right now who she has a fear of, and it's really connected to your values too. The fear is always in a fist fight with your value. So you have a value of things being neat and clean in appearance, probably. This client has the value of her friends. She wants her friends to love her, and she doesn't want to run them off. So she thinks that if her distortion is, if I talk about my life, I will burden my friends and they're going to leave me. It's really, and it probably stems from childhood. Maybe she's been abandoned, but her compulsion is she has to constantly ask them if she's getting on their nerves, and she needs to hear them say no, because when they say no and they reassure that they're not going to leave her, they're not mad at her, it gives her temporary relief. So every time she vents to them, then she has to over apologize and say, I didn't mean to do that, and I don't want to worry off. Was that too much for you? And she has to keep that compulsion up because it's giving her that temporary relief. But if she could deal with the elephant in the room, where did this come from? What put it there? What is this belief? Can we grow around this? Can we heal around this? Can we find some completeness around this? Then we could talk to our friends in peace. We will have to keep asking that those types of questions.
Okay. And I would say, I think mine definitely comes from childhood, being in certain situations or certain aspects of life when, things were out of order or things were not in the best sanitary condition, or having moments of, having been homeless. So now it's like, I like to keep stuff straight, or, being a man, I like to smell good. I like to look good. I know sometimes people have came in my home's like, what's the matter? It's like, it's almost like a woman live here, because it smells good. It don't seem but I like stuff clean. I like, I like to smell like Oasis when I walk in the house, and every room got a different scent because it feels good. I don't smell nothing dirty. If I look good, my house need to represent me. And
Mhm.
so I think even part of that with things being out of order, because then my mind's like, if I don't push that glass open and fall, then it's gonna break. So it's like all these things be contemplating in my mind, and so it's like I try to eliminate certain things before they happen. And I say it's
Mhm.
probably worse in other situations than others. Because now I tell you, my house clean, and my room be a wreck sometimes because I'm just always moving. But I'm like, ain't nobody got to see my room. But it's just like, but the things that if I invite people to, I don't want that to be the first opinion or the first thought that they see, because that's not what I represent. But even like the shift, I don't know why is that. It's like I can see something crooked, now straighten it up, and it's like, cause I see every detail. Sometimes I'm like, dang, why do I see everything? It's like
And
even
here's the
something
thing.
surprised me, and I see something on the I'm like, what's that? Why is that there? Because my mind knows that ain't supposed to be there like that. So it's like I catch everything, and sometimes it make it hard to surprise me because I'm like, wait, what's that? That box won't there. Like, it's I see everything. So two, I know it's part of my spiritual gifts, right? Like I see everything. I see it before I see it sometimes, and so it's just like, it doesn't turn off. But I can also identify like certain things did come from childhood, of or growing up in a certain time frame of certain things being out of order. So now it's like I value that. It's like, okay, I want things to be in place if I can help it.
Well, I was gonna say a couple of things, like, and
Yeah,
this is
tell
for anybody.
me.
Uh, this is for anybody listening. Um, don't beat yourself up for how you're hardwired. Now, that's another thing. I want you to heal, but even in how you decide to approach healing, I want you to do that well. Like, this isn't like, don't go put these things on your to-do list and make this another thing to beat yourself up about and highlight, well, Janae said I got to be whole and I need to stop thinking about my past. Like, I don't need you to be neurotic about your healing. Like, be kind, still practice loving kindness toward yourself. But what I want to say, don't beat yourself up for how your heart wired. And Pastor, who told you to get off? I ain't done with you. Um, I was just going to share about this class. So one thing I would share, because you said, what if the glass breaks? In my mind, I'm like, what if the glass breaks? If the glass breaks, it's okay. It's okay. And I think a part of healing is learning that what's on the other side of what your brain has told you will happen is okay. You can survive that. You can survive with that. It doesn't impact your character. It doesn't impact who you are. It doesn't impact the gifts God has put on the inside of you. Um, and when you really look at the bigger picture, you can't control what other people think of you. You can't control how they think about you. Like, we just can't control that. But what we can control is how we are responding to things in our environment. You're hardwired to be that way. And I always say, walk a middle path. If you want to be delivered from this, walk a middle path between being who you are and where you want to be. So some being intentional is taking a baby step and noticing, like, okay, the glass is crooked. Me and Janae talked about this. I'm gonna leave it there and see what happens. I'm gonna just not deal with that right now. Breathe through the moment and watch who I become when this happens. Now, this is called exposure therapy.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
expose myself to the stimuli of not fixing things and see what happens on the inside of me.
We're gonna try. But if that place back looking like this, I can't help myself. But I'm gonna
Yeah.
try.
And look, ain't nobody seeing that stuff but you. Ain't no, so if other people ain't even seeing it, they can't even judge you about it.
You right. I'm gonna try. Look, I will say I'm gonna try. I'll be trying to keep something neat and clean, but I'm gonna try.
All right. So I'm gonna get through these last couple of slides so we can get back to a few questions. What we mislabeled as healing. Lean in for this one, because a lot of us think we're healed and we are not healed. In fact, if somebody's saying I'm healed, you might need to raise your eyebrows, because Janae just said there is no utopia. There is no state of being absolutely 100% healed. You can be very close to it. You might have a pocket of doing a lot of things the way you need to do to be whole, but life will always throw you something to kind of throw you off kilter. Things are constantly changing. So a lot of times we're desensitized and we might be saying things like, I just don't care anymore. Honey, you saying you don't care is not evidence of you being healed. It's evidence of you being completely desensitized to the things that are around you. You have not processed a thing. Those thoughts are still rumbling around in your brain. You probably internalize them and don't let them out. Just because you're keeping it on the inside doesn't mean you're healed and it's not real and it's not happening. It is still very real. Being numb. You might be saying things like, I don't feel anything about it. I don't feel nothing. Numb is not a sign that you're healed. You are just exhausted. You're tired of dealing with a thing or experiencing a thing, but you're not healed. Disassociation. You might be saying things like, I feel distant, like it didn't happen to me. So almost like you're having an out-of-body experience. You're disassociated. You're not healed. None of these equal resolution. None of these equal integration. None of these equal wholeness or completeness. They are protective responses, not healing outcome. You're going into an adaptive process to protect yourself, a survival mode. That's why you can get a lot done. You're not feeling, you're literally a robot. So these are things that we will often mislabel as being healed. So I want to offer a little bit more to add on to what we've kind of already talked about. Insight versus transformation. It's time to move through this. So insight says, I know why I do this. So maybe you've been on here tonight and you say, you know what, Janae, I got some clarity about some things that I've been kind of struggling with. I know why now. I can see it. Maybe before you got on tonight, you had great clarity about why you show up the way you show up. Remember, I said it doesn't matter how smart you are, how much insight you have, it's not enough. Don't confuse knowing with being healed. It's not just enough to know. I always say knowledge isn't power, but the effective implementation of that knowledge is power. We got to move into behavior activation, aka transformation, aka action. It's time to take what you know and somehow translate it, reconfigure it, and reproduce it through some type of action step. And it doesn't have to be a big grand old step. It could be a little baby one. So transformation says, I'm doing something different consistently. Somebody put that in your journal. Transformation says, I am doing something different consistently, not one and done. Now, I tried yesterday, but because I didn't feel better, I quit. And that's usually what happens. You will start your healing process, and because it's so uncomfortable, you quit. What happened when you want to lose weight and you go to the gym that one time, that one morning? You're so uncomfortable, you stop. You have to do something different consistently. What does consistently mean? That means that you are committed. You keep doing it. You show up when it doesn't feel good. You learn how to ride the wave of discomfort. You learn how to not just want those pockets of sunshine through conditional happiness. You learn how to build up the stamina and the endurance and the long suffering to become who God has called you to be, who God wants you to be through a healing process. So many people get stuck right here. They understand their patterns, but do not change their behaviors. Don't let that be you. Change your behaviors when you get off the night. Do something different. And it can be very small. For example, I started taking on less clients right now. I'm on social media a lot. You can ask Pastor AR. I even have a plan for next year to reduce a lot of the things in my life. I cannot close my eyes to the cause of my own suffering. I have to walk it like I talk it. I too cannot ignore what I need for my own healing. And I'm doing it. And you know what? It's uncomfortable. I have to tell people no. I have to say no to the things that I love to do. And it's not about, me depriving myself, but I can see the benefit, the long-term benefit of giving myself what I need versus what just makes me feel good for a short term. Insight without action maintains dysfunction. That's another thing to put in your journal. Insight with no action maintains your dysfunction. What will your active healing require? So glad you asked. So, active healing includes exposure to avoided thoughts and feelings. Those things that you don't want to feel, sit in them, bask in them. Sometimes you got to let your heart break. Let your heart break for some of the stuff you've been through. Some of you all are grieving parents and won't even allow your heart to break. You've lost the most important people to you in this world, and you have not given yourself permission to feel that. If this is you, this is a sign to let it happen. Just stop holding on. Stop telling yourself you're bad or broken for having these intense feelings. You should feel that way. Some of you have been betrayed, belittled, abused, neglected, abandoned, and have been suppressing very valid feelings associated with those experiences. You should feel that way. Face those feelings. Understand where they come from. You feel that way because your values have been violated. Your human rights have been violated. Your dignity has been ignored. Your sense of safety, agency, belongingness, and identity have been completely impaired. You should feel that way. Um, Work on your emotion regulation skills. Learn how to regulate your emotions with things that are a little bit more long standing, like through therapy, through that dear man interpersonal effectiveness skills that I just shared with Audris. Um, get your skills up. You got to practice them. You got to learn them. You got to get some books. You got to talk to some therapists. You got to learn these things. Skills are not just going to drop out of the sky because you say, I'm ready to heal. You got to go seek them out. You got to learn them. You got to spend time with them. Behavioral accountability. Get your accountability partner, somebody that will say, hey, Janae, I heard you said you was going to do this. I don't see you doing that. You got to get up. You got to work out. You got to eat different. You got to cut those friends off. You got to be there for your children more. You got to say no to that job. You working too much. You got to take that lunch break. Find people who are committed to protecting you. That's it. Identify the people who are committed to protecting you. Those are your people. Those are the people you need to be calling and telling them what you need so they can hold you accountable. And then be consistent over time. This is why healing feels so uncomfortable. You are actually interrupting learned patterns. That's why it doesn't feel good. It isn't supposed to feel good. I think that's a myth. I think TV and propaganda makes you think that healing is supposed to feel good. Healing is not self or instant self gratification. It is a process. Healing is not like a microwavable outcome. It's not going to happen just because you thought about it. Here's some practical application tips. So, as an example, if your avoidance pattern thought it's like this, I don't talk about it because I'm over it. Some active healing processes you can do. Name your experience. When I say name your experiences, a lot of times you guys are going through things and you never name it. I feel disrespected when my aunt yelled at me. That's the experience. That's really what it is. It's not about family being crazy. You got to say something that's kind of cliche. Well, my family crazy. No, let's deal with what's under there. You feel disrespected. And when you feel disrespected, you want to fight somebody. And you can't fight nobody. You got to implode. And that's what you're dealing with. Call your experience by name. Identify the emotional impact, which I kind of did. It makes you angry that you can't slap your aunt because that's not in your nature. You have the urge to do it, but you can't do that because you know it's not going to be effective. Process in a safe space. You need to be able to talk about wanting to slap your aunt and nobody judge you for it, but somebody can help you find another way to maybe slap her with words of kindness. Find some support. So therapy, journaling, a healthy conversation with someone who's healthy. You don't want to go get advice for someone who's mentally unstable or someone who doesn't have self-regulation skills to share with you. Practice new responses in real situations. I always say feel the same old emotions, but try a new thing. That's a good quote to kind of help you think about how to be different when you feel the same old feelings. Micro interventions. Maybe you're like, Janae, I ain't got time for no therapy. I can't afford no copayment. Give me something I can do for myself. This is where you might want to take some notes. So, this is what you can do next week. Sit with a feeling for 10 minutes without distraction. Think about something that's triggering you, a person, place, thing, experience, or circumstance, and sit. I need you to find your room, your living room, turn off the noise, and just sit for 10 minutes and feel that feeling without doing anything about it. Not talking to another human being about it, not trying to fix it, not trying to do anything. Just sit. Journal the thought you keep avoiding. I am avoiding slapping my aunt, or I am avoiding doing this, or I am avoiding the fear of if I don't do this thing. Write that out. Have one honest conversation instead of avoiding conflict. Have an honest conversation. Pick one person to go to it and talk about this feeling you sat with and the thought that you're having. Because you got to practice getting this stuff out in a healthy way. And notice when you numb and gently redirect yourself. So notice when you're trying to avoid, disassociate, avoid, not deal with, and go back into your old pattern. Now you might do it anyway, but what I'm trying to increase is your awareness of the process. Because if you become more aware of this process, then you're more likely to interrupt it. Small actions create neural changes over time. So every time you do a little small thing, something about you grows. And cultural context. So it's hard for us to heal because how we have been raised and programmed does not support healing. How we've been raised supports survival. So we're already set up for failure because of how we're raised. Most of us have been raised with the mindset to keep going, be strong, don't sit in your feelings. Most of us don't have the luxury of time to sit down and process feelings. I want to encourage you to make time. You have to unlearn the ways that you've been programmed. Yes, or just pray about it. Just pray about it. So why are we stuck? You're not stuck because you're broken. You're not. You may be stuck because you're avoiding what needs to be processed. You're not processing. You're not putting your experiences through an assembly line to really see what's happening so you can package it in a better package. You're relying on time instead of action. You're hoping, or maybe you've convinced yourself that because it's been 3 years, you're over it. If it's been 3 years and you've done nothing, you're not over it. It's just deeper in you, actually. You've adapted with it. You survived with that thing. And if you're not careful, it can actually become a part of your identity. You are mistaking coping for healing. That crab bag is a coping mechanism. That pedicure is a coping mechanism. Every time you keep venting to people about the same old thing but do no action, that is a coping mechanism. You eating fried chicken is a coping mechanism. You always yelling at people is actually a coping mechanism. You have learned to survive in a maladaptive way, and now it's time to unlearn, integrate, find completeness, and find wholeness. And let me check the chat. I see some things coming in. Yes, I had the urge to stop sensing to my aunt. Thank you for your honesty, Audrey. Great analogy. Put your feelings in the assembly line by making sure it's packaged right. Yes, ma'am. And thank you for staying on with me for about 10 extra minutes, but it was worth it because we allowed Dr. D to get on with us. And last but not least, our true or false. I want to make sure that what I said is sticking. You can go teach somebody else. Hey, I'll give you permission. You can say you said it. You can have credit for what you learned tonight. Just share it with someone else. But I have a true or false segment for you. Just put T in the comments if what I'm saying is true. Put an F if it's false. True or false? Healing occurs naturally if enough time passes. That is actually false. Healing a physical wound may do that, but not psychological and emotional. There has to be some kind of behavioral change, some type of change happening for things to kind of change. Avoidance reduces distress long term. That is false. Avoidance does not reduce stress long term. It actually does it short term. And you'll find yourself in a compulsion or a cycle, like an OCD like cycle of doing things that don't work long term, but doing things that work short term over and over and over again. You can feel better without resolving the root issue. That is actually true, but for a very short term. And if you said false, I'll even take that. You can feel better without resolving the root issue, but you really are not healed. You're just putting a band-aid over a wound that really needs stitches. Numbness is a sign of emotion regulation. That is absolutely false. Numbness is a sign of emotional suppression. You're not dealing with your feelings. Insight alone leads to behavioral changes. That is false. I don't care how smart you are, how much you know. If your behavior is not in alignment with the healing process, nothing's going to change. Active healing requires discomfort. That is true. How you know you're healing? You're uncomfortable. You might even be questioning God. God, you sure you want me to do this way? You sure you want me to take a break like this? You sure you want me to cut these people off? It's always uncomfortable, and you may have the urge to question God. Avoidance strengthens emotional patterns. That is true. When you avoid, those feelings just keep resurfacing and coming back over and over and over. So it's actually strengthening emotional patterns. And it's the eradication of emotional patterns that you want to do through healing. Last but not least, healing involves both emotional and behavioral change. Is that true or false? That is true. But I also want to enlighten you on something. Sometimes, if you can't change your emotions immediately, if you change your behavior, the emotions will change. So sometimes your behavior is the medication to shift the emotion instead of maybe some other maladaptive process. So I will open the floor up and we can close out with questions, thoughts, and feedback. I'm so grateful and honored for your attention tonight, and I hope that you take something away to change your life.
All right. If there's any questions, put your questions in the chat for us. Or if you don't, or if you're not comfortable asking your question, you can text it to 910-945-3009, and I will ask your question for you. But if there isn't any questions, we'll give you about 30 seconds to a minute to put something down, get something on the line, and see. But Janae, girl, this was good tonight, healing. But you was all in my business talking about what I got to do. I got to try not to move the glass, huh? The only reason I wanted to move the glass was because, it's all right. But not seriously. So, because this is how my mind thinks. But it also made me think about, I was talking to one of our staff, and I was like, I just didn't want all that stuff to be on the camera, which was a fact, right? But it's like you said, it'll be okay. But my mind, I'd be OCD about excellence and the look being not perfect, but perfect. Because sometimes how I look at, when we're doing business, ministry, whatever, that is the first thing some people will see of you. And granted, no, I can't choose what they think, but it's like, am I giving the best representation out? You know what I mean? And so I guess part of that OCD is just, if it's wrong or something ain't going right, just let it be. I can't fix everything.
And also a part of that OCD is believing that when you fix it, it's actually making people believe in your spirit of excellence. But really, the spirit of excellence is a belief you got to have. You're excellent no matter what that glass is doing. External things don't determine your worth is coming from you, your God-given gifts. And I guess you really got to reframe your understanding or definition of excellence and where it comes from. Where does it come from? Is it external? Now, I do believe in taking pride in things. And I guess the difference, Janae, how do I know the difference of if I'm taking pride in things versus being in a compulsive, obsessive cycle? I'm so glad you asked. Well, I think one comes with emotional residue and the other one doesn't. Like, can you do what you're doing but find peace? Can you find peace? Can you say, I like things to be nice and neat in order. I try my best, but if it doesn't hit the mark, it's okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think I did better, because I relinquished some stuff. So I was like, all right, I went and said I won't doing as much movement, but I still got some work to do. So I was saying
Yeah.
this, I'm work in progress.
Now I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes I can pick up on people's quirks. Like, I know you may not like me for this, but if I was around you, I might purposely shift things to see what you do.
That's Pastor Shamara Morrison. She would purposely do it. She look what I'm gonna do. Why she come? And I do it just naturally. I don't ask nobody. I just do it and keep on moving. I'll fix it right back. She liked to mess with me, but it's all right though. God bless her. But hey, guess what? Sometimes you have to be shifted, and see things to know, hey, where you got to work on, because I think at times people, and as Dr. D said, with titles, with certain things attached to their name, oh, you can't error, or you don't have certain things. And granted, it may be small, but hey, it's something I can work on. I may be gifted, anointed, and blessed in all these things, but I still got something to work on. One thing, I'm a man, I will err, I got my own stuff. And it's by the grace of God and the Holy Spirit that I stay where I'm at. Hey, look, I'm much appreciative because you stepping on your brother's toes. And I was like, dang, get off my big toe. God, no, God would dance.
Look, if we wasn't on live, I'll take you deep. I'll be trying to. I'll go to the elephant in the room, but I don't want to do that on live.
Nah, I mean we can go. I'm okay with it. Let's go.
Well, we don't got the time. We don't got
okay.
time. I see Shamara put part 2.
Oh, okay. I mean, hey, we can get a part 2. I think this was good. Matter of fact, y'all let us know if you want a part 2 of this segment. Put it in the chat. Because we already said y'all got to talk back. Let us know what you need. Was this helping anybody tonight? Does anybody think, can we go a little bit deeper? And also, as we go deeper, are you willing to come on and get asked some questions? Put it in the chat. Talk back to us. Okay, that's 2 part 2s. That's 3 part 2s. Okay, Janae is looking like we're going to have to do, if we get 5 part 2s, then I guess we'll do another part 2. We got 3. Please, I'm even willing to chime in. Okay, that's 4. Okay, we need 1 more for part 2, and we'll make it happen. If you put yes, I need. Oh, there goes 5 right there. We got 5 people saying they need a part 2. Oh, 6. Oh, okay, we going. Can I get a 7? Oh, 7 for a part 2. There goes 7 right there. Okay, we got 7. All right, so I guess we got to do a part 2. So next month, you want to do it next month?
Okay, we can do that, and then we're gonna process the elephant in your room on live. That's what we'll do.
Okay, on live, process my elephant. My God, that's a big elephant, baby. See, I don't even know what the elephant looks like, but we're gonna process it. So, all right, y'all. Next month we'll have a Healing Is Not Passive part 2. The myth that everything heals in time. I jacked it up, but it's all right. So part 2.
We know what you meant.
Y'all know what I meant.
Hey, and you still in the spirit of excellence.
So part 2 next month for y'all. So all y'all that said you need a part 2, wow, we got 9 part 2s. Okay. So I hope to see y'all next month. Next month is what? May. Oh, it's Mother's Day. So yeah, that'll be good for Mother's Day. We can really dive into that and deal with my elephant in the room. So y'all want to talk about the pastor. It's okay. I like it. Talk about me. I love talking about myself. So, because y'all, one thing this is about is to help us expose the things that may have been hidden, or the things that at times people don't want to deal with. One thing I believe about in this ministry is, as a leader, people need to see a leader be real. We don't see leadership being real, transparent enough. Granted, yes, everything may not need to be, but as much as you can, it helps people to grow, to understand that even in leadership, you can have mistakes. You can fail at some things. You can have errors, and it's okay. God will still use you. God still love you. You still matter. You still have faith. Doesn't mean that you don't have some things you can work on. So I'm excited. Part 2 next month. Y'all get ready. I don't know what's going to happen. And Pastor Shamara said that she would chime in. So since you pulling my card, I'm pulling yours. So she's going to be one of our guests. Who else would like to volunteer to be a guest next month? Since y'all want a part 2, part 2 needs 2 guests. There we go. I like that. So y'all just let us know. Put it in the chat. Matter of fact, if you're watching the replay and you want to be a guest on here, just say, hey, I want to be a guest. We're going to make sure it happens. But Janae, thank you so much. Y'all put some love in the chat, some claps, some hearts, whatever it is, some peace signs, throw it up. if y'all got something valuable tonight, please let Janae know. We appreciate her time, what she does, what she brings to the table. And y'all, as she said, um, she's trying to shift. She's shifting some things. So y'all got to get this knowledge because we are about to take a little shift with Therapy Tuesday. Not in a bad way, but we're just going to pivot a little bit to also give other therapists and people in that profession opportunity to come pour into you all. Because we want to build up. That's one thing we believe here at LFRCI. We're kingdom partnering with kingdom and building each other up. So we're going to start doing some things for next year, partnering with other therapists to come in and give you their perspective so you can hear their voice so that they can grow. So Janae, thank you for stepping on your brother's toes and calling me out tonight. I appreciate it. I say it publicly, thank you. I accept the challenge. Let's go. So I appreciate you. I love you, sis. So y'all already know, man, I hope y'all enjoyed the segment tonight. I appreciate you all for just coming on and being a part. This is for you. And if there was something that you need or something that you learned, always reach out. There is no dumb question. Also, if there's some things that you need from Janae, hey, there's LifeSpireCounseling.com, also her line to the business. If you're looking for a therapist, need some help trying to get some things together for yourself, please feel free to reach out. We want to make sure that you have the tools that you need. Also, if you don't have a therapist and you're looking for one, Psychology Today is a great tool that we like to give to you all. You can filter it out, get it down to the T of what you want. If you want a Christian, woman, male, African American, Chinese, whatever you want, you can do it on Psychology Today. So guess what? If you need a therapist, get your therapist because we got Jesus too. But before I end, I want to just close us out in prayer. And I just thank you all for being a part again tonight. Father, we just thank you for all that you've done, all that you have released tonight. God, we thank you for true healing. God, healing that will continue to shift us and shift our perspective. Father, even those that may not know that they still need to heal in some areas, God, we just thank you for doing the work. We thank you for giving the tools, and we thank you for giving the people that will be consistent in their lives and also help them stay accountable to their own freedom. So, God, as we leave this place, but never your presence, God, be with us now and forevermore. God, we just thank you and camp your angels around them. Father, those even that their mind may be running, God, I just thank you for silencing the noise, God, bringing them to a place of peace. So, Father, we just thank you on tonight. In Jesus Christ's mighty name. Hey, y'all, again, if you want to sow into what was given on tonight, we have our giving platform. You can give to help us continue to push Therapy Tuesday. We appreciate it. We want to do some more things, give out some books, send out some literature. And so y'all help us to keep pushing this vision. We thank you. We appreciate you. Y'all can join us tomorrow. Oh, if you got a brother, a man that, hey, he needs a community, join us at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning on Zoom for my men only. It's a good, powerful place for the men. So I am just grateful for what God is doing. And I'll see y'all Thursday for Bible study. It's going to be good. We're continuing our series, I Survived the Tomb. So I think, we got one more segment, and then that is it. Then we're going on to May. So thank y'all for joining and being with us and just being a part of this family, because the family is growing, the family is getting bigger. So I'm excited. So just know, hey, LFRCI, the place where love never expires. I might not be your favorite pastor, but I'm somebody's favorite somewhere. I love y'all. Keep your head up because you have nothing to look down about, and God has already sent your blessing. God bless you. Have a great night.